Greetings, YouTube. When I was a kid, it was an era before DVDs and even before VHS tapes. So when you could catch a movie on television, it was a treat. And I always loved watching King Kong. It was a classic, and I always enjoyed it. Even if I only caught part of it, I always made it a point to watch it. I even enjoyed Son of Kong, which was significantly less a good film and kind of silly. But my favorite was Mighty Joe Young. He was a little more approachable, being a lot smaller, and I think that the acting and such was a little better maybe, but it had a little more heart to it, and I loved Mighty Joe Young. But King Kong was the king, and a classic, and I always got into it. I even went to see the remake they made in the 70s, which was not good. The one with Jessica Lange, not good. But last night, I actually got around to seeing the Peter Jackson version of King Kong. I had just never gotten around to seeing it. I don't know why. Didn't see it in the theater. Never rented it. I got a copy of the DVD for sale for $5 recently, and I finally watched it last night. Let me say first off that you can see every single dollar that Peter Jackson spent up on that screen. It was just beautiful. Every scene was deep and rich and lush. The CGI work was wonderful. I loved watching that ape. Kong was just so beautiful, and they did such a good job of emulating an ape, a gorilla. I was really impressed by that. And all the creatures on Skull Island, the dinosaurs, the giant bugs, the lizards, the freaky looking bat things, they were all just wicked cool. And then I'm going to say that I'm going to throw my willing suspensions of disbelief out the window and just accept the fact that there's an island in the middle of the ocean full of giant prehistoric beasts and just not worry about that. But I got to say that beyond the beauty and the fun of watching that film, it was just chock full of dumb. So there, I'm watching those scenes last night with stampeding dinosaur train wrecks and with multi-minute long battles between multiple dinosaurs and Kong flying through the air and hanging from giant jungle vines. And it was just stupid. Fun. I had a good time. I don't regret seeing it. That's the kind of thing I may throw into the old DVR again and watch in the future. But it was stupid. I'm glad Peter Jackson made the film. I think it is a nice capper to the giant ape genre. I don't really think that we need any more giant ape films since Mr. Jackson has made this, because it's a visual feast, and I think he did an incredible job, and he was justified in making huge amounts of money, and I look forward to Mr. Jackson's films in the future. But there were some really horrible, silly scenes in that film. And the premise itself, near the end, I began to really think about it. The whole idea of bringing a giant ape from the only place in the world that can survive to New York really was pretty much just to watch it die, because there was no way you could keep that ape alive in the United States. There's nowhere it could live. There's no way you could feed it. There's no way you could cover its costs. So they brought this animal from its one habitat where it could live to America to show it off, and then to either kill it or watch it die, which I guess says a certain something about the era that the film was supposed to have been set in, and maybe something about how Americans view animals. Another question I had to ask is who built all these structures on Skull Island? There were literally hundreds of the equal of construction efforts of the Great Pyramids. It would have taken tens of thousands of people centuries to build all those structures that were on that island. And that island wasn't big enough to support a population big enough to produce all the objects that were on the island. But it was cool looking, and I'm glad I saw it, and it had that wonderful Jules Verne Lost World look, which they were going for, and they completely and utterly succeeded at that. So if you like a good monster movie, and if you're a fan of giant monkeys, giant apes, definitely see King of Kong.